Hi, everyone, and welcome. We are so excited to chat with you tonight in what I've titled One Piece, One Chat. I don't know if someone has a better name for this. I probably should have asked. But hey, we're here and we're doing it. And we're thrilled that you are spending your evening with us as we talk about our One Piece inspired SAGAS TTRPG stream series that we did in the month of April. Just so you know, we are supporting the TTRPGs for Palestine via Tiltify bundle, which supports the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Basically, you donate $15 and then you get access to like 195 different TTRPGs, TTRPG supplements, and art packs. It is an amazing value worth almost like $950. Plus, you're supporting an amazing cause. Thank you so much for the affiliate anniversary wishes. I didn't realize that this was my anniversary. Wow, what a beautiful time to celebrate while we get to talk about something that I love now so very much. Um, with that being said, we are going to be doing a Q&A with some of our cast members from the One Piece Sagas TTRPG stream series. If you have a question that you would like to ask, please put question in all caps into either the YouTube chat or into the Twitch chat, and then ask your question and we'll get it answered. So, with that being said, my name is Jess. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I played King Coralie, also pronouns they, them, theirs. And I will popcorn it over to Ange to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name is Angie. My pronouns are they, them, theirs also. And I played Zelio Costas, pronouns they, them, theirs as well. I will popcorn over to Jake.
Hey everyone, I'm Jake, he, him, and I played Nemo, the fishman karate master, towards the end of the series. Also he, him, and popcorn over to Adam.
Hello, I'm Adam, he, him, and I played Sir Cabbage. I had to look at my character's name. I was like, wait, who did I play again? I played Sir Cabbage, the Snake Knight at the last episode. And yeah, popcorn it over to Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis. I played everyone else that other people did not play. It was my honor to run this mini series and write the rules that we were using, both the core rulebook and the one pager for One Piece specifically, which ended up seeing a lot of use, which I could not be happier about. And I will popcorn back to Jess.
Actually, Dennis, I love this as a segue for our first question. Are y'all ready? Perfect. Okay, so Dennis,
I'm so ready.
Just chatted a little bit about Sagas, the system that we were using. And Dennis, I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about what Sagas, why it makes such a great setting for animes. It seems like super easy to replicate a One Piece-esque game for you. I mean, I feel like you did it like that.
I think that comes from my vast background in anime. First of all,
Yeah.
It's not all that vast, but I've watched. We're very close to finishing Naruto, and this is my second time through it. And I am no longer caught up on One Piece, but I've watched almost to the end of Wano. I think is where I petered off. But I was very excited to write this, put it together. And it was actually quite recently in a totally different context. I was describing some of the mechanics for sagas, specifically the last stand mechanic for like the death and dying. And someone said, that's so anime. And I'm like, you know what? It really is. And I think one of the other reasons that this system can do anime so well is because it like encourages the players and the game master to go with the flow more, because there's no like checks. There's not really a set structure that you have to follow. There's tools in a toolbox that you can use to help tell your story instead of having to take your story and fit it onto a grid that doesn't quite work. And so I think with anime in general, there's a lot of moments where like, this is happening and there's no explanation whatsoever. Ha ha! And so you can do that in sagas. You don't have to explain things away with mechanics of, how it works. You can just apply a mechanic in the moment. Say, this is what I want to do, and okay, that's going to be this difficult. Go ahead and give it a shot. And so it makes it really, really freeform, which I enjoy a lot. But I'm a little bit biased.
I love that. And actually, that was a perfect segue. Dennis, you just keep setting me up. I love this. I feel like
I'll take credit where it is not due.
you were talking about how you can really do whatever you like in this system. And I think that a lot of us put a lot into our backstory that we were hoping we were going to explore, but because we only had 4 episodes, we might not have gotten to explore parts of our backstory. So I'd love to hear from our cast members, what was a piece of your backstory that you didn't get to explore? Does anyone want to go first? I can call on names.
Who's gonna go first? Roll for it.
I do have what I thought was a
I'm
funny
bringing out
moment.
my dice.
When we had our session 0 and went over like veils and different stuff like that, and then realizing where everybody else was in the anime, there was a funny moment where like I think me and Dennis are the last, and I was like, so let's talk about this thing that's really bad that happens to fishermen that we can't talk about in this game. So there's some cool stuff to look forward to, but then also like some stuff that hits those veils really hard that we're like, oh, how do we fix this? So it was kind of like the next gen, like Nemo was like the next gen of like fishermen, which was kind of fun to even play with that a little bit. So that was fun trying to still find Easter eggs that I so happy I got to throw in at that last episode. But then also not like spoil so much like really cool stuff that happens so that way everybody who's not where a lot of us are can still enjoy and hopefully hope that Jess is like, oh my gosh, this is what
Yeah, when
Okay.
Jess,
It's gonna blow up when Jess gets to certain
Yeah.
points.
when Jess gets to things like, wait a minute, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Such good art.
Look, if you want to talk about them really quickly, I will take out my earphones and you can speak freely and give me a thumbs up when you're ready.
No, you're part of the conversation.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Okay.
But that was kind of fun.
Adam, Ange?
I think, it was a little bit. I think there was a lot of Zelio's backstory that was just sort of kind of up in the air. It was more of like an idea more so than like a concrete backstory. I told Dennis, I was like, I just want them to be a little bit bitter about how things ended with Bon Clay. Which is really funny because then Briar came in with Leandre in a very similar fashion. I feel like the Leandre Zelio dynamic is a great show of what now a Zelio Bon Clay dynamic would be. But back then, I feel like they were a lot more. I think Zelio saw Bon Clay as someone who was just greater than anything. Learned all about what it was to be comfortable in their own skin from Bon Clay, which is hilarious considering it's like this is a person who shifts their skin, right, to truly be anyone that they want to be, as long as they touch, right? For Zelio, the choice to become part of Baroque works felt like a big stab in the back of that trust and admiration, because it just sort of, it was like you were so much grander than any of these people. Even someone like, that they Zelio wouldn't have known that Crocodile was Crocodile. Mr. Zero is, one of the 7 Warlords of the Sea. But I think Zelio would still have believed very much so that Bon Clay was greater than any of them, and for him to just like be like, "We're joining them," yeah. So Zelio's bitter about that.
I love
Absolutely.
that connection with the character because Bon Clay freaking rocks.
So
So
good.
I freaking love his character. Oh my gosh, Straw Boy.
Straw
Um,
boy.
so wonderful. Jess, you'll understand. You'll understand sooner. I guess for myself, for Sir Cabbage. That's
One
oh,
thing.
oh,
Sorry, one thing
No, no.
before we jump into your backstory. Angie, you just mentioned the dynamic between Zelio and Leandre is the same as the dynamic between Bon Clay and Zelio. And I did not put that together until just now. That's
Aw.
fucking
Yeah.
brilliant. That's so cool.
But it would
Heck
definitely be
yeah.
like now if Zelio got to see Bon Clay now, it would be that. It would be like, he betrayed me. And it's like, I didn't do anything.
No,
we're
he-
still
like,
friends.
Bon Clay gave you a ship. Like, there's
Exactly.
obviously no hard feelings here.
I would have to take
Yeah.
the grapes away from Zelio at that point. Wow.
I know, yeah. No grapes for Zelio.
That it's so wonderful when that stuff happens. When it's like these dynamics just kind of like happen out of nowhere. It's so wonderful, and also great stuff to kind of feel out in a session 0, like little happy accidents. So awesome. Oh yeah, my character, Sir Cabbage. I feel like we got to basically everything with Sir Cabbage because it was all tied with King Corley. So yeah, it was all tied in there. I feel like I had like a little minor idea where it was like the people that usurped Snake Island were lizards or something, and I am secretly a lizard, and that's why I wear my armor all the time, and I feel really bad about it, but I call myself a Snake Knight, etc., etc. I had an idea about that, but I was like, whatever we have time to do, which was very cool. Super excited to do all of that.
Well, Adam, you say that
Mhm.
we got to see everything from Sir Cabbage. I would argue that we didn't. I would love
Oh.
to know what the adventure was like for Sir Cabbage as he was looking for the Lost Kingdom for King Corley.
Yes. Well, from the back and forth messages between Dennis and I think it was because we were like very secluded on that little snake island, Slither Island, and then went out into the world. I almost said an email. Sent you an email, a letter, being like, "Oh look, Marines, pirates. These guys are weird." And then let's see what happened next. I think I ran into King D, or or so, wait, no. I think I found the Scale Kingdom or whatever, and then ran into King D, and he said something about capturing you or something. So then that's when that deal of like me not being able to talk to you, or talk about this sort of deal happened. So apparently it was a lot of like kind of lurking in the shadows and being like, "Are they okay? Are they okay?" The whole time, and then getting snake napped at the end.
Snake napped, incredible.
Getting snake napped at the end. But that's what I can remember off the top of my head.
Understandable. Well, speaking
Yeah.
of getting snake napped, Dennis, I'd love for you to tell me a piece of my backstory that we didn't get to explore and what deal Coralie made with King Addendum, because I don't know what deal it was.
The deal that Coralie was coerced into making was giving up their title, essentially, their rights to the Scale Kingdom. and also forgetting about it. And whatever you got in return for that must have sounded real good at the time.
Probably
Or
told me I'd be the
because
king of the pirates. What a jerk. Take one kingship to get another kingship? I don't like that.
Okay, he's at the bottom of the sea now.
he is.
He's making deals with the
Incredible.
fishes
Yeah, make deals with the fishes.
or sea kings.
Well, while we're on the topic of Addendum Island, I'd love to know why Zelio and why Nemo were on Addendum Island.
Ooh.
Well, Zelios is pretty much was discussed in game a little bit, maybe not as much because I know there was a lot happening, but Zelio was there for the ship. So it had been left for Zelio and Addendum Island to go pick up. Whether there was something more there, that maybe a thread that wasn't pulled because of King D, that is up to Dennis to answer. I'm curious about that myself.
Honestly,
Honestly,
I needed
no.
a way to shoehorn
Got it.
in. I needed a way to shoehorn an actual ship. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a pirate show. We need a ship, right? And
it.
I like knowing the relationship that Zelio has with Bon Clay, and like thinking about, okay, what's the most powerful ally? Someone powerful enough to just give them a ship.
Mhm,
And Bon Clay was the obvious answer for that.
mhm. Yeah, that's my answer to that.
Incredible. Don't you just love it when the GM can answer for you? When you can
It's so
just sit
great.
there and look pretty? I love it. 10 out of 10.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dennis. On to the next one.
Okay, now do mine, Dennis. Do mine. Oh, I think mine's the same, like similar. It was just kind of like Nemo wanted to go out on an adventure, like the pirates that we can't talk about until later. And then I was like, and then maybe he's like bar hopping, but island hopping, and finds this island. And then Dennis went, "Mwah, ha ha ha," and then was like, "And what if there is an attorney you were friends with? And what if this happened?" And one of the coolest things that did happen though was Dennis sent like this, like kind of like, "Hey, this is how we're gonna start." And in the few games that I've been in, it's usually like, I think the DM likes to hold the cards and not show you what's about to happen. And I just thought it was so cool. Like, here's the cards, and you're gonna have to think about that for a week. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool!" So it was one of those like very fun. Like, I like the way Dennis DMs. But yeah, it was just island hopping, and then Dennis came up with really cool flavor stuff. And I don't know if you want to add to that, Dennis, but
Well, it actually wasn't me. Yeah, I remember you came up specifically with the concept behind Mr. Nobody. And that's how like the beginning started. Like Nemo was referred to as Nobody because the people could not tell the guards, where they were getting all this food from. Like because he was going around and helping people on the island. And
that's what you did though, because I did come up with a nobody, and that's like backstory, like how I came up with the character. But like it was just the idea of like, oh, just nobody wants to help nobody, so call me Nobody. And that's the far. But then you used that and did the whole like, wait, this is like a loophole in the contract. If they're saying nobody's helping me, and that's what it was, because I thought I was like, this is so brilliant. I didn't even think that far. I just thought it was cool to say like, I'm Nobody.
it was really, really, it was a really, really fun connection to make right there, because it was actually Ink Ray's backstory was the island of Addendum and King Dial. I that is not mine. That is his. And it is amazing. It
Theirs.
was really, really fun to like use that as a base for the like everything that Lou had written. Was like he came up with the king, he came up with the island's name,
Just
he
want
came
to,
up with
real
like
quick, my
concept.
friend, they, them
They?
pronouns.
Dang it. Lou came up with everything. Thank you. But it felt like it it was like putting the last piece of a puzzle in when I found the connection between Inkray and Nemo for nobody on Addendum Island and a contract loophole. And I just that's one of my favorite things about running these games is finding like ways to connect the players and the characters to each other, and weave a beautiful tapestry that becomes our story.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about like collaborative storytelling, right? Because ultimately King D became one of our main antagonists towards the end there. So it really goes to show how Lou's work, their work, it was honored throughout the entire game all the way to the end. And that's what makes it so cool, honestly. And also just like in the spirit of One Piece, like things coming back like after a certain time. Yeah.
I also want to say sort of a little bit of a backtracking thing, but I didn't know that Dennis gave y'all like a little I guess like the setup or whatever for the first episode or whatever, because I think as a GM and as a player, I love that. Like that's it's from the player's side, it gives like it feels like I'm not like naked jumping into the world. I'm like, cool, I can imagine where my character would be in this situation. I can imagine where I'm already being and doing a thing, so that when we jump into the game, it's like, hey, where's your character? Describe them. I can like have, even though we're all improvising on the spot, you at least have time to kind of get yourself in that headspace. And also from a GM perspective, then like I don't know, I feel like it makes your players more comfortable, and it's like we don't really need to hide anything. Like it's way better if we have even that little level of collaboration before we start the game. Like, love it.
Absolutely.
Love that
My
stuff.
character might not have anxiety, but I do.
Yeah.
And knowing
exactly.
what to expect is so helpful.
Oh
I
my gosh.
will say, though, as the producer of the game, listening to the music in advance was not fun. We had some scary music that I got on before the series even started. There was some end-game music, literally called end-game. The Solemn Vow was sad music, is what Dennis called it for the last episode. What do you mean there's sad music on the last episode? No.
And I mean, all of those are One Piece like OST songs too. Like, if I'm not mistaken, right? A lot of the stuff that you like posted.
Oh, that was just for the
Or
promo.
Dennis's. Oh, got it, for the promo.
Right. So I was basically what I was posting in our chat was the stuff that I was listening to as I was running the game.
Oh.
But the stuff I sent Jess was from Tabletop Audio.
Shout out to
and it was, like,
tabletopaudio.com. You're MVP. I love you so much.
Yes. Oh, so much cool stuff on there. But that was the most One Piece-esque, like the most theme-fitting pieces that I could find on there.
Hell yeah. I see. That's awesome.
And so, Dennis, let's talk a little bit about how you sent sad music that we didn't really play on that last episode. Were you imagining a different outcome for our heroes?
Oh no, what
Our
happened?
Lavender
What
Scale
happened to
Pirates?
Two big sad DM plans. Oh no. Take your ass.
So normally what I do for like mini series especially is I will plan up to the cutoff point of the last episode and where we will pick up. I'll figure out what that penultimate and ultimate episode like cliffhanger in between them is going to be. And then everything after that is just blank slate. And we're going to get to go play, and so and I wanted to keep in mind that my personal favorite mechanic in Sagas is Last Stand, which requires a player character to die. So I was just, teeing it up for in case that were to happen, we're going to milk this for all it's worth. Because I've got this table of amazing performers, And I know if we get to that point, we're gonna fucking nail it. And so I just threw that in there just in case to supplement what we were already going to bring should that situation arise. But no, I didn't actually have anything like that planned per se.
Dennis just wanted to use the mechanic, and like we're just like not dying. He's like, "Come on, guys! I just want to use the mechanic," and we're just like, "No, don't kill him."
I like that Zelio was like, "Not today. I'm gonna."
Like, I'm not dying by this man. Absolutely not. No. Last stand,
No way.
you can eat it. Honestly.
Last stand, no way.
Last stand, my tushy, actually.
Yeah.
Did everyone on screen use their stab point?
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't. I remember Nemo used his in like the first episode, right?
Yep.
And then
Yeah. I
okay.
used it in the second
What was
against Reed.
So I was just gonna ask, what was the point where you were like, oh god, I need some tremendous anime bullshit? So it was against Reed in our second episode. Can you talk to us a little bit
Yeah.
about why you were like, now is the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like, it was definitely one of those situations where it's like we're out of our depth with this character, and like Dennis is describing him and everything, and I'm like, what the this guy is too OP. Guess I'm gonna have to use my stab. It's like, it really is that, it was that moment of like when you are watching One Piece and you're like, how are they gonna get out of this one? And then something
It's the
happens.
beginning of the arc before they're
Yeah.
able to defeat the villain, and they're just like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, we are
it's
butts kicked."
Lucci beating the living crap out of Luffy, and then Luffy being like, I think it's time. Second gear. Yeah. It really is that that energy. I think that in that point it felt thematically appropriate.
Absolutely. And Jake, what about you?
I think it was part first episode was do something wild, and I think I was already out of effort, so I was like, I want to do some more combos with Julie. Shout out to Julie for all the dopeness.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Comboing with Julie was so much fun, and I was like, I want another. And then what paid off was me saying that whole like Shark Week, because then I was like, oh, I can use this again when I actually level up all my hockey and pull hockey out again. And so like, didn't do it because I thought about it, but in retrospect, you're like, am I a genius? No, I'm not, but this will work. They will think I am and not really know that I'm not.
According to the Weenus song, everyone is a genius and knows it in advance. So
Everybody do the weenus.
So Jake, I want to go back and
Godward
talk a
nerds.
little bit about Nemo. You know, you just mentioned Esmer, and they became really close friends really quickly. Nemo was friends with Ink at the beginning of the series, and I feel like Nemo just is such a friendly guy, can make friends with anyone. I'd love to hear an experience from the past if Nemo has always just been friends with everyone, or if he has had folks that he's butted heads with.
This just opens up like fun, like let's make up more backstory for a character that's just gonna sit on a shelf, and then you're like, I want to play this person again. I think Nemo is just that person that you kind of like. I think maybe everybody has somebody like this, where they're just so either hospitable or genuine that it's just like they'll walk up to a stranger and just have this like heartfelt talk with a stranger, and it's just like I am I think there's a word for it, where you're like in real life you're an introvert, but then when you have moments like being on a live stream you're extroverted, and then you sleep for 3 days later after all that. So I think it's a little bit of me wanting to be that person, to like, I've only done it once and it felt amazing to just walk up to a stranger and be like, hey, like this thing is happening, what do you think? And then actually have like this really fun, like, did we just become best friends? This is great. And so I think I just wanted to do more of that. But I honestly think, like, especially like when I got to the tenets thing and I heard the thing about smiling, I was just like, and also that came from like Jet Li, who was like, they're asking like, what's it like being, you're Jet Li, you're a martial arts legend, and he's like, three steps. Like the first step is your weapon is an extension of you. It's no longer a weapon, it's you. The second, now the weapon is your heart. So it doesn't matter if you have a weapon because you are the weapon, but then ultimately smile because all that does is just damages bodies, but a smile will change the heart. And I just thought kind of like
That is
that.
the most Luffy,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
Jet
most
Li is
Luffy
Luffy.
thing ever.
Wait.
yeah.
It's so real.
It's just wonderful smile, and then everybody's my friend. And then, yeah, thinking about other stuff that happens later on, that I'm like, Jess, please, when you get to these parts, blow up that chat because we want to know where you're at in this
Chat.
You know,
journey.
I plan to continue blowing it up when I get to fun parts. Absolutely. I love sharing that with my friends. And speaking of friends, we're going to go on a quick break and bring back one of our friends from the series. So do a shrimp check, go do a bio break, wash your hands, make friends, don't eat paste, and we'll be back here in a few short minutes. Bye. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Like I said, we went to break to pick up a new friend. Unfortunately, we didn't lose a friend per se. I would hate to say that, but we have dropped a friend off. So I just pressed my cast button and the SAGAS link came up. So we're going to manually type in cast so you can find all of the folks that you have seen on the screen this evening so far. If you're on YouTube, you also have access to all the links of our other players throughout the short series. This is One Piece One Chat, where we are talking about the One Piece inspired Sagas TTRPG short series that we did in the month of April. My name is Jess. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I played King Coralie, whose pronouns are they, them, any. And I will popcorn it over to Adam.
Well, hi there. I'm Adam, he, him. I played Sir Cabbage, also he, him, on the show. The Snake Knight. And I'll pass it over to Dan.
Hello, I'm Dan Pixel, Pyxel, they, them. I played Ashlyn Carter, she, her. Former, I guess, at this point, Marine Lieutenant. Hooray. I will send it over to Jake.
Oh, hey, I'm Jake. I played Nemo on the stream. He, him, and I am he, him. So also pass it over to Dennis.
Gotta take him off.
Hello.
Oh no! What are these hands of death?
I am Dennis, and I ran the game that apparently these people enjoyed playing, and apparently you enjoyed watching. So let's talk about that.
Shucks, I feel like I need my heart sunglasses,
where
but
are your
they're in my
glasses?
bedroom now. Heck, okay, here. We'll just pretend
Yes.
that I'm wearing
10
Coralie's
out of 10
sunglasses.
I could
Thank
never
you.
do this. I could never do it. My arms don't bend quite that much.
Well,
So
shucks.
jealous.
So, Dan, we have all talked a little bit about a piece of backstory that we didn't get to explore. And so we'd love to hear from your point of view, what did you work out with Ash that you wish you would have gotten to explore in the last 2 episodes?
A lot of the things that I came up with her, we did manage to get to in one form or another. I think one of the things that Dennis and I talked about a little bit, that I think I kind of wanted to figure out a little bit more about was like the direct relationship that she had with Reed, because we spitballed a few things, and we thought about it's like, oh, is there like an opportunity for a flashback? But I was like, I don't know if we have the time in the final session to do that. That might be kind of interesting, but because I honestly a lot of that I kind of, and thank you Dennis for going with this, I just sort of inserted some ideas on the fly and you kind of rolled with it in the night of the session.
I imagine I'm remembering specifically the part where Captain Reed was down and was starting to lose, and right before you shot him, between, I think it was the one where you hit him between the eyes, Ash saw a face of the old Captain Reed who was happy and did good things. Yeah. And then it transitioned to what he is now, beaten, downtrodden, evil, this piece of shit.
Yeah. Because one of the things I was curious about was when she left her island, I think the thing that we talked about was maybe Reed was the one who inducted her into the Marines to begin with, and working from that was always going to be an interesting thing that I just sort of decided on that in my brain at one point. I was just I'm just going to pretend that's the thing no matter what and see how that plays out, and if it starts to feel like it's not playing out, maybe I'll change it while we're in the ephemeral space. But I think I kind of dialed in on that, and I think it made them very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like just Ash's whole relationship with Captain Reed was something that we 100% would have explored more given one more episode.
Yeah.
And I'd love to
Yeah.
hear with Ash being a person so deeply believing in justice, and going from being a Marine to being a pirate, essentially. How do you think a couple more episodes, do you think that she would have enjoyed the pirating life? Knowing what you know about the Lavender Scale crew, do you think that that would be the best pirate ship for her to be on to explore pirating?
It's a really good question. I I made a lot of like decisions about Ash like the closer we got to the game itself. And so when you like one of them was like you asked all of us for like, "Hey, can I get a pull quote for like something that you think your character would say?" I like that mine popped into my head, which is like good and evil isn't about what side you're on. And that was like I made a lot of decisions about Ash in that moment. Like I when I was building her, I almost took Sagas has a struggle system which you saw us like utilize. Dennis built that in there where it's like you take a struggle and it means certain roles you are like at a somewhat of a disadvantage on. And I almost took one that was like obedience to authority. And I almost took that one and was still thinking about it like literally right up until like the last minute in character building. But I chose not to do that one because of that pull quote idea that you gave and like what I did with that. And because of that, I think that steered how I played her. And then where that ends up within the context of Lavender Scale Pirates is like all of them were the kind of pirates who were good people. Um, and that's kind of like one of the interesting things about One Piece as a world is that so many pirates can be either good or evil, and Marines can either be good or evil. And so when it came down to it, I think it's like I did not plan for Ash to end up on the crew. I think Nemo kind of like forced that question. And I think it works out because of like what they demonstrated to her, and like what I mean, like Anzelio as well, and Esmer like demonstrated to her. So I would say, yeah, I think that'd be a good
I don't
fit
know
for that.
about y'all, but that warms my heart so much. And there's another pirate crew that warms my heart a lot, and that is everyone's favorite crew, the Straw Hat Pirates. And I'd love to know from everyone, Dennis included, for an NPC, what do you think? How do you think your character would react if they met the Straw Hat Pirates? And you can pick throughout any journey because I'm sure in whatever arc you're on, they're much cooler and much more renowned than when they are in the 300th episode where I'm at right now. Does anyone want to go first? Because if not, I can go first. Being that King Coralie thinks that they're going to be the king of pirates, I think that, upon meeting Luffy and hearing that he's going to be the king of the pirates, Coralie would be like, right, but how are you going to be the king of the pirates and I'm the king of the pirates? That just doesn't make sense, friend. And then I think they'd have a beautiful, silly relationship afterwards where they're always just trying to one up each other on that
Two
king of the
heads
pirates thing. Yeah, exactly.
together going like this.
But with
I love
little hearts around them.
Yeah, with little hearts.
I love that Coralie be like, with Luffy, he's like, I'm going to be the king of the pirates, and then Coralie's like, I am king of the pirates. I just haven't got to the finish line yet, but I already am.
Just need the sash.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
I think Nemo's would be easy because Nemo just wants to be friends with everyone. So right away, it's like eating Sanji's food, sneaking cotton candy with Chopper, not understanding why Robin's reading so many books. Just like whatever it is, whatever Straw Hat, it's just like let's be friends. I think Usopp would be funny because he'd probably be afraid of his big shark teeth, but I think he'd win over Usopp too.
Heck yeah, more Usopp. I guess myself with Sir Cabbage, who'd definitely be super interested in Zoro, his swords. Because he'd be like, oh, how do you, where did you get these? How can I get one? It would be like, oh, please teach me your ways. And Zoro would probably really not want to do that and just be very dismissive of him, and he'd be like constantly following him around. He'd probably like Luffy, but be very kind of like offended with his behavior. It's like, this is not how the pirates should behave. And if Corley was on the ship, definitely be like defending them a lot, and maybe trying to break up arguments. Oh please, oh no, that kind of stuff. And would probably be very enamored with Chopper and how cute they are.
Is Cabbage taller than Chopper?
I think so. I think Cabbage is 3 feet, and I feel like Chopper's like 2 or something, right? Like Chopper is little baby.
Chopper being like 2 feet is my headcanon, at least. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
official.
Yeah, I think like knee height, like little babby, little raccoon.
How tall is Chopper?
Because heights are all over the place in One Piece drawings. Like, I don't know who's like 6 feet
Right.
and who's like 20.
And I know they're not here, but that's what I really enjoyed about Inkray in particular, because Inkray was 9 feet tall, and when
What?
Lou informed us of this, nobody batted an eye. We were like, "Yep, okay, that's very One Piece."
Yeah, that was one thing
That's
with
beautiful.
Nemo too. I made Nemo like 6'2", and he was supposed to be a runt for a fish man. Like, I wanted to have a moment where it's like, where with the Cabbage would have been like, us little guys got to stick together because we're gonna get squashed. And it's like, you're
Like, put me down.
but totally didn't have a moment or have to do it. But yeah, I like the way you like went through the door and had to duck down. But
We all need
2
like
foot
a beach.
11.
2'11". Oh my gosh, I'm barely taller than Chopper.
It's an important distinction.
That changes my whole outlook on Cabbage now. Wow. Wow.
But we all know that on Chopper's hinge profile, it's 3 foot. He definitely put 3 foot. You know?
4 foot, probably.
Yeah, 4 foot. We're like, come on, Chopper. I mean, well, he can actually change his size, so I guess it works out. But
Jess, how far are you again?
I tried explaining it earlier, and I think I was doing too niche of references because everyone was like, I have just finished Ennie's Lobby, and all of the pirates are being celebrated in, it's not Section 7, it's C7, C7, something 7, Water 7, thank you. And Sanji has met the man who is a much better cook than him because of the salt that comes in from the big storm that's on the rooftops. Yep, too niche.
I don't remember the salt part.
I don't remember that one either.
Yeah.
I remember it
yeah.
specifically because I was like, that's some dirty ass salt that these people are eating.
Don't need that dirty ass salt.
Then I have to choose my words very carefully.
Here, give me a thumbs up when you are done.
Okay.
You're good. Speak freely.
So I think Ash has a very weird relationship to the Straw Hat Pirates because of Boa.
Oh right.
Because like that's her queen. Like that's
Mhm.
and so like when that gets around, like obviously like Boa is not shy about saying what she says about Luffy, and so she'd be like, "The fuck did you say?" Well, all right. Guess I gotta like figure that out now. Servant of 3 kings, I guess. But sorry, I didn't want to. Other than that, I think, I feel like Ash would get along with Robin really well. Just like, we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna read. We're gonna watch everyone else being themselves. I think she'd not handle it as well as Robin does, but I very similar in vein to like relaxation activities. Just a lot less nonchalant and probably also a lot less morose.
Heck yeah.
Oh no, no, we can't hear you, Jess.
Dennis, what about any of the NPCs?
I've put a
Free boy.
great deal of thought into this. A great deal.
Scrolling
King
through.
Dial would flee at the merest whisper of the Straw Hat's presence.
Damn. Okay.
I mean, he's a coward. He relies on his power and, you know, making other people do things for him. That's exactly the kind of person that Straw Hats have killed or put behind bars several times. So he's well aware now, with their renown and the waves that they've made. He's not going to stick around if they show up on his island, even if it's on addendum and he's like has the palace and everything. He's going to use that secret back door and just skedaddle.
Wow, what a little coward. I guess
Yep.
starting with Dennis and then moving on to everyone else, did you have an inspiration when creating King Dial?
I am I guess my real inspiration came from a different anime that I was watching at the time, Blue Exorcist. And there is, in the newest season of Blue Exorcist, there's a short, little, fat,
Oh
blonde.
my god, I hate him so
you know,
much.
He's the absolute worst. He is awful. He is just the most worstest person ever. And he's like this scientist that experiments on humans and says he hates all humans. And that is kind of the both physicality and mental state that I imagined King Dial in.
Wow, I wish that I would have known this in advance. That would have made me hate that character even more. Wow, incredible. All right, opening up for everyone else, did you have an inspiration in mind for your character when creating them? And if so, who?
First thing that comes to my mind is specifically okay, not the One Piece Don Quixote, not the Flamingo, but like the old story or the musical version, Man of La Mancha, Don Quixote, the old man that's a knight that's fighting a windmill. Basically, if you were to stat him out, very low wisdom sort of situation. Just like, a good intentioned dummy, and sort of like that. And then I'm sort of a musical theater sort of nerd, so like the song that they sing in that musical, it's like I can't remember the words now. This is a bad timing. But to fight the unbeatable fight, that sort of feeling is sort of first thing that kind of came to my mind when I asked the question. But I just love knights, so but yeah, that's the first thing that comes up for me.
Oh yeah. Jake, what about Nemo?
Nemo started, funny enough, with a song. There's this old underground hip hop song that's called Nobody, and it's like one of those where like first verse is like, okay, don't judge the song by the first verse, but the second verse, the second verse is actually what caught me back because I bought this person's album. I used to skip this song because I also didn't like the beat, and then one of those days where you have it playing, and you're like, what did this person just say right now? And the audacity that you said something on a beat that I didn't like and I missed it for like I don't know how many weeks. But in the second verse, because the song is called Nobody, it's like lyrics like, when the rain falls down, nobody seeks shelter for the storm, or strength for the weak. Nobody wants peace from the violent wind. Nobody wants to escape a life of sin. When children cry, nobody wants to help. Nobody's true to others. Nobody's true to self. nobody wants to live, nobody wants to fight, nobody chooses sides, standing for what's right. And then then it goes back into the chorus, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a bummer. Nobody wants to do all these like things. And then at the end, he's like, just call me Mr. or not call me Mr. Nobody, but call me nobody when nobody wants to do it. And then repeats the same verse again with the context of you're calling nobody. So nobody wants to help the kids. Nobody wants to fight. Nobody wants to say. And so I was like, cool. Google, what's a name for nobody? Nemo means nobody in like Latin or something.
Oh.
Whoa.
I love
yes.
that.
I usually do that. I try to find when I make my characters like have a name mean something. I think I might be a fae, you guys, so be careful with your name around me.
Stealing the names.
I just love it when like a name means something. So most of my characters have like, if I build a character, their name will mean something. So if you Google, I tell you my character's name, you'll Google it, and then you know exactly what my character is about. So that's pretty much what it is. It was a song and the name, and then I was like, it's One Piece, so I get to be a fishman, and yeah, and then it was yeah, just finding fun stuff to put in, and yeah, it was off to the races, I guess, as you say.
I love
just-
that
Here I
so
was
much.
thinking it was like, you know, when I first saw your character, you know, your character pitch, like when we were in session 0, you were like Nemo the fish man. Okay, Nemo the fish, Finding Nemo. Cool, got it.
Yeah,
And that's not what it is at all. It's so much cooler than that.
yeah.
I
And
love
I,
that.
I
Go
oh, sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
And I just gotta say that like just the backstory of the Mr. Nobody in the town, like that is so quintessential One Piece of meeting a new crew member, or just like a one arc NPC buddy. Like that's such a thing of them going to an island and being like, whoa, what's up with all these people? No one's helping them, and it's like, oh, hey, Mr. Nobody, and you're like, ah, dang, they're gonna be our friend. We're gonna take down the king or whatever, and they're gonna help us lead the resistance. Like. Very One Piece. So heck yeah, props for that.
And even more so if you feed Luffy first. Some government toppled.
Yeah.
I love that your names also mean something. I mean, mine's not deep like yours, but I wanted Coralie's name to be something about the sea and also fish, and so like coral reef, coral snake, and we just put the Lee on the end to make it sound nicer because coral. I don't know, that could be a name, but that sounds more like a turtle name to me, and I'm not a turtle person. When I pitched my idea, I think I actually pitched my idea first to Adam before to Dennis.
Can you tell?
I had said, think of if Luffy and Meg from Hercules were a person. And I think
Got it.
when we got into the first episode and Esmer said, they're aroused because I had blush on my cheeks from something that that Zelio had said that like made me blush. I was like, you know what? What if we don't do any of the Meg stuff and make them just a very awkward about anything romance at all? And I think that it fit them very well. I think that it turned out, and I'm so glad that in the moment I was like, you know what? Scrap like half of the things that we have created for this character because this works better.
That's what first episodes I think are all about. Is like you can come in with these ideas, but it's like once you're in their shoes, you learn so much, and it's kind of like cool. Let's leave this here.
Yeah, and only 2 people had heard that it was supposed to be that mashup, and it happened within the first 25 minutes. So I was like, "This is my character now. This is who they are, and I love it."
Heck yeah.
What about for Ash? Did they have any inspiration?
So yes. So okay. So there's a couple of like my older characters who from like other games that just never lived through the game because the game itself never. I mean, we all play TTRPGs. We all know how it is. A campaign starts and it goes for a while and then it dies out. And this is actually the core bits of Ash, the scrawny little white-haired sniper, has gone through 3 iterations. She was created for a 10 Candles game in 2022. So we know how that ends. And then she got to be a Space Marine in a long form Death Watch campaign that I was in, and that was streamed for a while, and then we had to put the close on that. We weren't able to keep up the schedule, so she didn't really get to continue on. But her iteration here is like very different, and like obviously the sort of like skin of her comes from Ash Overwatch, because like the white hair, like the long range shooter, and this is the only iteration of her that has a southern accent. That was sort of like a day of decision where I was like, you know what, might as well make this a little bit real this time. But I my favorite One Piece character is Robin for a lot of different reasons, but like that kind of standoffish attitude that she starts with, like very early Robin, like in her first like separate from the Straw Hats, like where you start to like, oh, she might be like kind of evil sort of thing. I was thinking that with her. I was like that same sort of like, she's clever, but she doesn't like trust people very easily, so she's going to like keep a distance. And somehow within like the first 15 minutes, that was just like, nah, all right, she's on board. No, like getting to trust these people. We're just here now. So that same sort of throwing it out. I love that.
I love y'all just keep segueing into like questions that I want to know so desperately. And so you've played this kind of character in 2 other, I wouldn't say campaigns for 10 Candles, but 2 other games at least. And so I'd love to know if you played her, and then this goes to everyone else, your character in D&D, what class or multi-class would they be?
While everyone's thinking, I do want to say that Dan, I loved Ash's aesthetic as well. It was like it's very anime protagonist aesthetic, and I was like, whoa! Like I saw the art, and I was like Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen. I was
Angie
like,
makes
what?
such good art, and like I hadn't settled on a lot of things until like I talked with Angie, and that's when I was like, oh right, she's like a Marine officer. She needs a suit, and
Hell yeah.
oh,
Is dope, and that's another really cool thing about One Piece is the aesthetics are so all over the place. They can do anything, which is so
It's
cool.
so true.
Love it.
I think that if Coralie was a D&D character, they would be some sort of sorcerer bard. I think that just having inherent power. Oops, I'm so sorry. Chat can see just like half of a cat head. She's decided that it is time for lovin's and that she has not met her love quota for the day. But Coralie, I think, because she was the king of the pirates, I think having some sort of magic tied to just that birthright, basically, I think would be very appealing for that character. But also some sort of bard. I can't think, and I'm so silly because I'm the one that typed up these questions, so I should have thought about this answer. But I'm thinking either a lore bard, because Coralie took the chatterbox trait, and I guess we didn't get to explore that too much, but just loves to hear themselves talk. Or
Glamour, I think, is another good one. They have like some sort of ability where they can like never roll below a 10.
I could see that as well. Hell yeah. All right, who's next?
I'll go. I feel like Cabbage is pretty easy. Like either like a rogue fighter multi-class or like a rogue barbarian multi-class. Like something, because like he's definitely dex based and not strength because he's a little boy. But like I like the idea of him being super fast. which I would actually also be curious at some point to hear what everyone's like little character sheets of sagas had on it. Because I had some fun stuff on there. Like I had like teleport, like this like short range teleport ability, like all the way up to 5, because I wanted to give that cool, the anime thing where they slice and then they're already across the map and then they put their sword away and it's like slice. I was like, I wanted to make that real. So, but for D&D, like, yeah, I think that, or because like he doesn't have any magic, so I don't think he wouldn't be a paladin, but he has like the vibe of a paladin. But
Yeah, when you said what you said, I was like, what? Not a paladin? Wow.
Yeah.
Just completely floored
It's the
me.
full plate armor.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
My brain did the same thing. Because I'm looking at this art and thinking, okay, teleport, big sword, good at hitting things, but also like super unbelievably fast. So, do paladins get Misty Step?
Ooh, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That
I
would
don't
work
think they do,
perfectly.
to be honest. Just to be clear, but if they did,
With the right GM,
that's
just
what,
give it. Just give it.
Yep, 100. Here's a magic item that lets you do Misty Step.
Yay!
I guess
I think
Nemo.
I'm still very confused about all of my NPCs. So
Yours.
What did you say, Jake?
Oh, I was gonna say I think just the easy route would be like monk barbarian. I guess.
Oh heck
The
yeah!
martial
my
arts.
favorite multi-class.
Is it? I haven't tried it yet.
Ooh, never done that one.
It's so much fun. Oh my god.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to try it then. I'm currently a monk cleric, which is very fun.
Dang.
I went Way of Mercy and then Twilight, and I just feel like I'm just OP with the hills. It's so fun to flavor. Um, yeah, like because I went tanky. I had like 7 health, so I had what was it, thick skin that gives you an additional health,
Heck
and then
yeah.
I just threw everything in health, so I had 3 effort the whole game. Yeah, and my thing was like, I'll spend the 2, and if I miss, I get 1 back, and then I have another 2, and then I'm tapped out.
That's right.
But yeah, I was just thinking like, yeah, just the martial arts, and then just the tankiness of it and stuff. But I definitely want to see everybody's like character sheet now, because now that's got me curious. I'm like, what did y'all take? But yeah.
Ranger. No, Ash is squishy and like clumsy. Like it's Dex but not Dex, right?
Mhm.
Like I took the clumsy struggle. She aimed good, but
Like
she's
big
not
sniper.
graceful. Yeah, like she shoots great, but it was also like lore built in that she can't draw a bow, so it's like
A modified D&D game.
Yeah.
wizard.
Ooh, maybe like a sorcerer, wizard, rogue, or something. I don't know. It's because like you got big damage with that sniper rifle. I played too much D&D, or at least I planned too much.
What do you
D&D.
mean?
I don't actually.
There is no
play.
playing too much.
Yeah,
What is
yeah. I definitely don't play too much, but I plan too much. Heck
It's
yeah.
okay. You and your encyclopedic knowledge of 5th edition spells is in good company here.
I actually used to do a thing where I would like break down popular anime characters as types, like as classes
Ooh.
in 15 seconds. And I think Luffy was just like barbarian, but I can't remember his sub oath. I think he was a berserker. I would have to dig way back in my in my content to find it. But I was like, oh, so he refuses to die, huh?
Yeah.
And he's dumb as bricks. Okay, I know exactly what to put you.
Heck yeah. That's
Naruto's a
I think I
paladin.
finally got mine.
Let's
I
hear
think
it.
I want to say Captain Reed
Oh yeah.
was a paladin or paladin fighter. because he obviously does have like the multi-class. He's very lawful, like he's a captain of the Marines. And he obviously has magic too. And the reason I say maybe fighter as well is because he later on he had a lot of actions, like a
Yeah.
lot of actions.
Slap. Mhm.
So I'm feeling an action surge somewhere in there.
You know, I'm very surprised that he didn't have a touch of druid in him, being so connected to
You know what?
trees.
That was my first.
Y'all?
That was my first thought. But then I was like, I can't be that like shallow, right? Like I'm thinking trees, therefore must be druid, right?
Okay,
Druids
that's
slap,
valid. That's
guy.
valid.
Druids freaking rock.
You know,
Druids
Dennis,
are broken as hell.
speaking of Captain Reed, I heard that someone wanted to know what happened to Captain Reed after the series ended. Did he live or did he survive to live another day? Did he fall into the ocean, never to be seen again?
I mean, his bones are at the bottom of the ocean, right?
Oh, I thought that's for sure King Dial, right?
Oh,
But we
wait,
don't
Oh,
know
King
if.
DL had no chance.
But
King DL is gone. Goodbye. Disappeared into the wake of the miles-long snake, never to resurface.
good.
But Captain Reed, huh?
He's dead until after the 2-year time skip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until after, we'll see after the time skip.
I mean, he's a
I
statue.
think if this turned into a long-term campaign, Captain Reed would 100% come back again. For a
and
second
be our
time.
friend this time. Wonderful redemption arc. They always do that. There's always something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ash, I would.
Like, I know these guys. They beat the living daylights out of me. You
Now
should
we're
not cross
BFFs.
them. Bad idea.
Pancakes, anyone? We're like,
on our side, it's like Pine Forest isn't gonna do shit against anybody. It's like it might as well just be a little like thin twig. Right? It's like they are like unstoppable. It's like it's Zuko until book 4.
heck yeah.
All right, so I want to stop because I've been doing a lot of questions, and I want to see if any of y'all have questions off the dome that you want answered before we end for the evening.
I think I had a follow up on Reed as well, which was like, this is kind of a two-piecer, which is like one like where did it's
No,
fascinating.
this is One Piece. Wrong show.
2-piece sequel.
That one. Angie and I both had the same thought when he like debuted his power, and that's like both of us are aware of a character, and I think Jake might be too. I think there is a character in I think a little farther along than you are, with a very similar power. And so I was wondering where you drew that idea from, like where it came to you and how you utilized it. And I guess as a second sort of follow up to that, like there was a moment where where we had him on the ropes and you just like, okay, now action surge essentially. And I'd always kind of had in my head that ever since I was like, oh, he's like a basically a Logia type, I think he's way stronger than a captain, right? And I made a snap judgment call, and I don't know if you went with it. Like he's way like he was way
yes,
stronger.
that was brilliant. I loved that so much, and I remember like you mentioning this guy could have been an admiral if he wanted to be, but he's not, because admirals sit back and do nothing most of the time, and he wants to be on the front lines. And that's like the clarification I put on it in my head. So yes, first, that was great. I loved that so much because it set up like exactly how powerful this guy is. Cool thing about Saga's mechanics that I was using for that is that when a boss monster doesn't get access to their cool boss level things until all their minions are gone, and they're the last thing on the field. So that's when he started, it wasn't until King Dial had, gotten swept away that he started doing multiple attacks each round. And again, that's very, very anime. Go back to our first question. Very, very anime of Sagas to do that. um, but the I don't remember if you were part of the Stars and Wishes we did. I don't. I think because I think it was after the second episode when Captain Reed made his debut. I originally had in mind for like just this vague, just it's a guy with some powers, and the day of the session, and I'm like, okay, what are his powers? Bad block. I'm like, maybe his powers, are rocks. Cool. All right, he's got rock powers, and it's like, and I made him look like the Thing from Fantastic Four, and I'm like, okay, that's good. And then about 15 minutes into the actual session, into our stream, I'm like, wow, this guy looks dumb. Even in my head, I need to fix this immediately. So while we're playing, and during the break for that episode, I started brainstorming more, and I'm like, okay, what are some cool powers that I don't recognize? Okay, this guy's a devil fruit user. It needs to be a word that works, that sounds cool when you say it twice in a row. And that's where I came up with pine. And from there, I'm like, okay, the powers here are going to be obvious. There's going to be needles. There might be some pine cone stuff. There's going to be sap, and there's going to be sharp trees because they're triangle shaped. And that was how Captain Reed became who he is. And then slowly after that, I'm like, okay, he's a pine tree guy. Let's give him some lumberjack stuff. So I gave him an axe. In my head, I don't think I ever described this, but in my head, he wears a flannel.
Has to.
Actually, that's so perfect.
So I feel like that's how way too many of my NPCs are built, is I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, just throwing random cool stuff out that feels good in the moment, and it ends up being not that bad. And I really like that kind of style, especially for times of my life where I don't have the energy or brain cells remaining at the end of the day to actually do what a GM should do and plan.
Well, since we're on Reed,
that was his origin.
Question. One of the moments where Ash has a flashback, and I think we brought it up earlier with the warm smile. What happened to make Reed go bad? I don't know if I'm pretty sure that was something you probably had to think about, but just in that moment of I believe you said this father figure smile to this what Reed turned into, and and I was just like, what happened? Explain yourself.
No, okay, neither
yeah,
of us
Dan.
know. Cool.
Yeah, Dan, show your work.
All I knew is in our conversations about how we were gonna tie Ash in, and we were like, oh wait, is she no? I think you said at first, it's okay, you're one of Reed's unit, and I had just watched the episode where he was introduced, and I was like, oh yeah, all piney, right? And I was like, okay, I can roll with this, right? And then it was after the first episode with Ash, where I was immediately night of, I went back to our Discord channel, and I was like, so how do they know each other? How is this? And it's what if they've known each other her whole career? And that was about as far as I think we got with it, because there was just so much going on. But I was just we were never sure on it, but I had it in my mind, and I was like, I'm gonna hold on to this, I'm gonna sink my teeth into it like a little terrier and just roll with that. And then you just drop that father figure smile thing, and I was like, ah, shit, I didn't even see that one coming, but I saw it in my head.
I honestly, I really didn't either. I was very much the same as you. I was there's a moment in our DMs where you said, you had mentioned, okay, so these two characters have known each other for a very long time, and I'm like, okay. And that's the only detail that I really hung on to, is like they've known each other for a while. And because I was busy figuring out, like, because I didn't want the Marines to be the bad guys in episode 1, 2, 3, and 4, you know? So I'm like, okay, you can't be part of the Marines, because then I have no way to introduce you. So like we played around in the backstory a little bit, and Captain Reed kind of like fell off by the wayside, and I feel like One Piece does that thing, anime in general does that thing of like, you see this one very obviously meaningful shot with no explanation whatsoever, and then it gets revealed like next arc or something. And so I wanted to do something like that in our finale, and that was just the perfect opportunity.
Heck yeah.
I love the teamwork between you two. I think it's so good how everyone played so well with each other and everyone was able to bounce ideas off of each other. And I think Adam actually had something to add, so I'm going to let him go.
Oh, yeah. Well, to comment on that as well, it's just like, what a wonderful medium that TTRPGs are, and that we can like do this sort of thing, as in just like improvise whole backstories or new characters or NPCs and like relationships. Like, that's so wonderful, and present like feeling it out rather than being like, hey, this is what's gonna happen, and then it's like, oh, look at this cool new thing that popped up. So wonderful. But my question was, did anyone have any sort of like characters that they were thinking of playing that they didn't go with? Or like devil fruits that you were like, oh, maybe this, but nah, maybe not. Because I was like scrolling back up through my notes, and I wrote down a bunch of devil fruits, and I was like, nah, I'll be a sword guy. So like, because I saw like, I wrote down the roo fruit, or maybe like a kangaroo, or like the chicken fruit. It'd be a very different character. And I also wrote down the cry fruit, where it to make people cry, or like one that I thought was pretty fun was the hope fruit, where basically you just give a speech and it like boosts everyone around you or something. Like, I thought that would be kind of fun, but I had a bunch, and through watching more One Piece, I was like, oh, half of them are already taken by other characters. But yeah, I was curious about if anyone had any alternate characters or devil fruit.
I did have alternate devil fruit ideas. My first was the devil fruit. I just thought that would be funny, to be completely honest, where saying it one, and then having like little horns and a tail, maybe some wings. I also thought about like a halo fruit, and then alternatively I would have wings and a halo, and smite would have been the thing that I would yell out.
Yeah.
And then one that is so goofy and would literally only make sense to two people in this world, me and my partner Brandon, would be the map fruit. In session 0, everyone had kind of talked about maybe having a devil fruit power, but not wanting to be too overloaded with them. And so I was like, well, I definitely want to, like, I need to have a devil fruit power, so I could have like maybe a useless one that like doesn't give me anything in fighting, but like is still useful to the crew. And so Brandon and I play a little game of impromptu D&D, and there's a character called Map, and whenever you say Map, there's like an AI voice that pops up and says, Map powering on, and will just like give directions and be super goofy. And I was thinking like that would be my devil fruit power, where I'm the navigator and I can get us from place to place, but that's all I'm good for. Like, I can just get you from island to island. I can tell you if we're facing north or east or south or whatever, but that's it. And those were my 3 that I was kind of juggling around until I decided on the snake fruit.
Heck yeah.
That reminds me a little bit of Brennan Lee Mulligan's "Thank you for using the identify spell."
that the map power is so good though in context.
Yeah. Oh my
Really, it
gosh.
would be. It would be like the most broken utilitarian power in the entire world.
Straight to the One Piece right
Hunting
away.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we do the follow-up Sagas One Piece series, I'll do the map fruit and play a totally different character, and you can have King Coralie as an NPC. How about that?
Perfect.
Fun.
Brilliant.
If Dan and Jake weren't juggling around ideas, I do have a question for you three. So I think you three were non-devil fruit power users, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would love to know if you had the opportunity, or I guess if your character had the opportunity to eat a devil fruit, would they? And why or why not?
Easy answer is he would just be stuck at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So no. But to go back to the other question, I did not. It was Nemo all the way, unless someone else was doing
Hell
something.
yeah.
I get few opportunities to play, so like different like characters. I'm like, I want to do this, I want to do this, and unless there was like a reason to change it, which I'm glad, like, yeah, like I was like, I'm the only fish man. This is gonna be super fun. So, but now I think I'm gonna like if we're having another game with a map devil fruit user, maybe I'm spend the rest of the time thinking of all these different characters.
Look, this is what we do. This is how we peer pressure Dennis into getting another game. It's not going to be until closer to the end of the year, but we can do this if we put the pressure on now. This started out as a tweet.
Heck yeah.
It did. Dennis and I had like
really
talked
did.
a little bit about different anime or Sagas games, and then I think Jake had tweeted about One Piece, or Dennis had tweeted about One Piece, and then one person came on, and then I said, "Please, will you do this? Please."
One Piece of woo.
Ooh, woo. I think I was like maybe 50 episodes into the anime at that point. And I remember in the casting call for this, which was literally just a tweet, who likes One Piece and TTRPGs and wants to set sail in a TTRPG sometime in March or April. Someone said, I'm just a casual fan. I'm like 600 episodes in, but I'd like to play. And I was like, I've watched 50 episodes. What do you think of me?
Freaking casual noob.
Oh my gosh.
One of us.
Yeah. Wow. I can say now in 4 months, maybe a little bit over 4 months, 4.5 months or so, I'm the 300 plus deep. We watch a lot of One Piece in the evening time. It dominates the TV
You're
for
booking
sure.
it.
Oh, good.
But I still want to hear from you two now about devil fruits
yeah,
and if
devil
you would
fruit.
eat them.
Go ahead.
Let's see. I think gut reaction would be no, because his king cannot swim. So if Corley falls in the water, Kevin must be able to swim and save them. But I guess if they didn't have the king, I don't know. Like, I'm still thinking.
Can Cabbage swim anyway? I mean, he's wearing plate armor like all the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
What are
and
you
he wouldn't take
saying?
it off because then everyone would know he's a lizard and not a snake.
Maybe the swim fruit. No, wait, that's not a thing.
The most useless devil fruit ever.
Dory can swim, but you get really weak, and then yeah, I don't know. I'll have to. If something comes to me, I'll shout it out later. But that's my initial reaction.
So that's a hard one. I'm gonna buy myself a little more time by opening with "There Was Only Ever Ash" because that I had in my head for the character to play. Because when I first started this, I was only on for 1 week, and I was like, okay, so I have to figure out what is the way that I slot in the most, and it was like, okay, everyone's probably covered the main bases. We're gonna go sniper, because most people could do without a sniper if they needed it. And so I was also like, when I created her, I was like, no devil fruit. I was like very specific in my head. I was like, she's gonna be a non-power user, because I figured there was gonna be a, how did I phrase this? I think there was going to be like a lot of strong like devil fruits, because it was a crew that was like gunning for the crown. So I was like, okay, so there's probably going to be a lot of devil fruit users. They probably need at least one person who can swim. So that was like my build for her. I don't know if she'd eat one. I think it would be like very situational for her. I think it would be like, is it the case that it's like doing this in a moment of sink or swim, not to phrase literally, but like metaphorically speaking, right? Like I'm trying to think, I can't, my brain has, there's like a moment somewhere in the show where someone has to like do it at a crucial moment or something. I think I might be making that up, but it's like that same kind of thing for her. I did in my brain like this week just make up a devil fruit because of like the wordplay of it, which would be bubble bubble. And the reason for that is because it would be not like soap. I don't remember her name. Khalifa. Not like hers, which is like weird shiny thing, but like bombs, like little like bubble bombs.
Cool.
And the reason I like that particularly is not just because bubble bomb is an alliteration, but in actual Japanese it would be shabon shabon, is bubble bubble. So it would be shabon kabom, which would be like alliterative onomatopoeic sound. Would just be like really fun to say. But it's also one of the things where like there's a bubble island that they don't call bubble island. Well, they say it. They say shabon, but it transliterates weird. I'm going on a tangent. Shabon. It's one of my favorite Japanese words because it's shabon.
Shabon. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I guess I had an idea. I feel like it'd be like electricity flute. An electricity flute is the fruit that Cabbage would eat just because going fast. Gotta go fast. You become a Sonic.
Ulua.
Yeah.
Incredible. All right, y'all, we are coming to the end. So if anyone has a question, feel free to put it into chat. If any of the cast members have a question, feel free to ask it now before I move on to mine.
You know what, Dan? I have a question since you brought up the Japanese. Could you tell us all of Ash's signature moves? Because I know you said, I think in Stars, they were named after flowers.
Yes.
But it was very cool. And it's also cool that I'm imagining, like, I think you said the guns were engraved with flowers or the writing too, which is like super cool when that happens to guns. They're like stylized, which I love. So did you break those down? Because I'm interested.
Yes, I have to pull up to make sure I have all the ones written down properly. I know her gun was named Fujihana, which is Wisteria Blossom. That was just personal. I love Wisteria. It's my favorite flower. And then her little gun was called Ayame, the pistol, which is Iris. And then I think I'm trying to remember. Sakina's blue was not actually Japanese. I think that's just the English. It's a very specific subtype of violet, I think, or wisteria. I can't remember exactly where I like found that one. And then Shobu was also the same thing. It was like the very specific, like long-stemmed version of something. Let me find it again. I had like a window open for like 2 days. While we were...
Yeah.
While Dan is searching for that, I want everyone to think of their favorite grasshopper fact, because we do have a viewer question.
Oh. They're famously known for insert fact.
My favorite was probably the one you clipped. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and watch it.
I clipped a
but
handful.
It was one of the ones you clipped for sure. But other people were talking, and it was like, we can't go up against this guy or we'll be squished. Grasshoppers are famously good at being squished.
Because it was a. Oh, go ahead.
The one that I'm remembering, I don't remember which episode this was in, but it was definitely, I think, like, they're famously good at being sneaky. When I think they failed at a sneak check, which was definitely my favorite. Them just like the appearance of them on the wall being like, "We're famously good at sneaking," and like, yeah.
My favorite, I think it was because it was a combo move with Esmer and Coralie. When Esmer was flying me over to the ship to drop me, and Julie said, grasshoppers are famously good at dropping their captains. And then I like superhero landed and said, are y'all ready to die? Like that just, the setup, everything was perfect. I loved Esmer so much.
Yep. Yeah. Did they say at one point grasshoppers are famously known for reading contracts and that's when they signed? Or am I just imagining that now? I just remember the signature was like very fast.
It was
No.
like either signature or reading or something, and then their signature was a smiley face.
Yeah.
Grasshoppers have famously good penmanship.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And it's just, smiley face.
It's just a smiley face.
Okay, so real quick, I found it. Sekini's blue is a specific type of Japanese wisteria, white with blue eye. I can't find where I found Shobu. I think it has to do with like long stem or something. I've lost it in my brain, and I've lost the link. But I also, when I was preparing like Ash's encounter with the crew, my I went and looked up some things about grasshoppers, and one of the things that I thought, because I was like, is this going to be like antagonistic, or is she going to be like, she going to have like the Robin quality of saying things that are so fucking out of pocket that you're just like, are you well? Grasshoppers are good sources of protein, was the fact that I had in my back pocket at all times. I had that in my back pocket at all times. And I was like, it did not come up, mostly because Esmer was like too pure. And like, there was never like any kind of like antagonism or like moment of even just like, I wonder if she'll like hit her with this because it would be, she might like stop and think about it. But that was the thing that I knew all time, just sitting in my brain.
Oh, that reminds me. This is obviously when you're, I feel like, a guest and you're coming into something, you kind of have like a lot of plans. You're like, if this is how I'm introduced, like this is kind of the situation I think I'll do. In my head, I was imagining, since I knew that Ezra wasn't going to be there on the last episode, I was going to introduce myself to everyone, and then I was going to think that Ash's character was Esmer. And just be like, you do not look very much like a grasshopper, but like you did very well. Is a good ruse to give them a false portrait in your wanted picture or something like that. And then I was going to ask about the most important member of the crew, which was Poppy. Like, where are they?
I love Cabbage so much. So much. Oh my god. Wow. Okay, friends. We might have time for 1 to 2 more questions. My question is going to be asked after Dennis because he looked like he was about to open his mouth.
It wasn't a question. I didn't realize the name of Ash's attacks were flowers. And now I'm seeing replaying every single one of Ash's attacks in my head, but in the Harley Quinn action scene from Suicide Squad 2, where she cuts through and shoots tons and tons of people, and it's just flowers everywhere instead of blood.
I love that.
Or like the smoke from the gun turns into a flower or something like that.
Yeah.
Love that.
That's all.
Okay.
That's all I had.
All right. Dennis, you're included in this one, and you can pick if it's DL or if it's Reed or even if it's the nice couple that were housing me in the beginning of the series. If there was a rumor that had been started about your character, what do you think it would be?
That they're dead.
Probably started by
Oh,
Coralie,
nice.
actually.
Yeah.
I literally said, I thought he was dead. Oh, that's so mean.
There's probably another one, but that's the first one that came to my mind. Like, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Totally dead. He's too dumb to stay alive.
I could also see for you, he's not even a snake.
How dare you pull my helmet closer? Yeah, 100%.
I think there would be rumors about Captain Reed's parentage. Like, I feel like that would make for a very interesting plot line if, like, Captain Reed were to come back and have, now he's a good guy, but we're finding out that he comes from not so decent stock. And I don't want to spoilers because all of One Piece is just a mess in my head. So there are plenty of places like could be the son of one of the emperors of the sea or something, and no one knows it except for him and maybe one other person. I feel like that could make some waves.
He had a terrible lineage, which is he was a tree and someone threw a human fruit at him. A terrible stock.
I think for Coralie, because they're so hesitant with their leadership and they never know, is this what we should do? I'm going to ask my crew and confer with them. I think maybe they're not the king of the snakes. That's just a title that they've made up. Dan, you
The
look like you're
implications
thinking
of that
real
are
hard.
huge.
Right?
Come back.
I don't like them. It's a shitty rumor, but also, like, if you're king of the snakes and snakes are just slithering around, like, who are you really king of? Like, they're just doing their thing, being a little snake, and you're this half snake, half human thing walking around saying, do this, do that, having a handful of snake
None of the
knights.
snakes are able to understand, much less obey.
Yeah, there's a couple snake knights, and they're led by not even a snake.
Yeah, what the? It's all a ruse.
How dare you!
King of the reptiles, maybe? I don't know.
I'm king of the snakes. Ow, what the hell? Stop it. Get off of me.
Carl, go back to your enclosure. God.
I'm a literal snake, man. I don't know what you're saying.
I think a silly one for Nemo would be that he's a fashionista, like just really into clothing, but it's only because he has the rough skin struggle, which is you can't wear armor and you can't remove clothes without destroying them. So he has to go and buy clothes every day because every time he takes off a shirt, it rips. And they're like, this guy is really into, look at how many shirts he has. And it's like, because they get ripped at the end of the day when he changes it, which is one reason why his shirt ripped in that last session, because I just want to show you my scars and the shirt ripped.
Like early 2000s fashion, you always have like ripped knees or have like holes in your jeans or something.
Oh yeah.
Just ripped.
Oh, this is so unhinged. I think that after the events of this, there's a room, like when people talk about the crew of the Lavender Scale Pirates, they'll swear that amongst them there is this like high fashion short haired dog that has a gun.
I love that.
Where's the dog with the gun on your boat? What?
because of the fucking bark.
I love it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Well, my friends, we have time for one final question. Does anyone have something that they're dying to know?
Several
When-
times it has been mentioned. No, I think, Jake, you might have been going the same direction, but several times it has been mentioned what's actually on people's character sheets. I know, but some of y'all had some crazy, like implications. Like Adam had mentioned earlier, the minor teleport ability to do the anime quick draw kind of thing. Which I'm so glad you got to do that, and
Yeah.
I am even happier that it ended in King Dial's death. So, but did anybody else have some like really cool stuff, especially if you didn't actually get to use it that much in our games?
What if, hear me out, what if everyone really quickly pulled up their character sheet and did just a brief thing? Just a real quick
I
one.
have
Works for
mine
me.
up now. Unless someone else wants to go first.
Okay. For me, I thought Keen Smell, Sure-Footed, and Heatless made sense because Coralie was a snake. I didn't get to use Heatless, which is where your skin, surface, or entire body is cold to the touch. Sight or sensors relying on heat gain no benefit when trying to detect you. Bummed that it never got there, but it made sense for Coralie being cold-blooded. Coralie had Arrogant, Chatterbox, and Animosity of the Sea, obviously, for struggles. And then at the very end, I was finally able to use my Power Gorgon's Gaze, which I'm so glad that Dennis worked on with me. It was such a fun power, and it was so hard not using that in the first 3 episodes and like taking off the glasses and just making it known that that was a thing. But then I also had Infect and Many Faces to be able to use my Zoan type.
Yeah. For myself, had the prehensile tail, which I briefly kind of tried to use to get out of my handcuffs. Did not work. I had thick skin because I got them scales. Small because I'm small. My struggles had bad taste because of the really shoddy looking armor. Naive because he a dummy. And bad driver, mostly because I feel like I want to always sort of maximize my characters, even if it is in a sort of less crunchy system. I'm like, okay, what's something that makes sense that doesn't also hurt me? So I was like, he's a bad driver. The talents and the powers, the weapon training, sidekick, which was really cool. I liked that ability to be able to help a person with less effort. Power deflection, freaking rocked. That like saved
That's right.
Nemo and saved Coralie, like boss ass power. Teleport minor had that all the way up. That was super fun. And the dodge power. Yeah, that's what I have.
Ash was a very simple build. I was like feeling the system out, so I was just like, we're going to kind of min-max a little bit. Intense vision, night vision, but clumsy and low stamina. I kept looking at some other traits. Like I said, I was like almost took the one that was like obedience to authority. And then when that didn't work for a character, I was like, maybe I add the one that's like she's insubordinate. But I was like, I wasn't sure where she skated on that road because I think she was a good soldier, but she did it out of like individual loyalty more than anything else. So it wasn't one that I could figure out what to do in terms of adding other struggles or traits. And then when it came down to her talents and powers, I was just like, okay, everything directed specifically towards shooting, but then also like the things that made it possible for her to do, like she was an Amazon Lily Archer and have hockey go through her weapon. at long range. So I threw as many of my points into hockey as possible, got that to level 5 instantly, and then energized projectile, sharpshooting, and projectile weapons, so that she did one thing and she did one thing pretty well. But I did eventually level it up so she didn't have to see her targets to shoot them, even at her ultra long range, which
Heck
I
yeah.
got to use, and it did pay off.
It did.
Dang. That's cool. Nemo's was pretty simple. It was like fishman stuff. So it was like water breathing, webbed hands, thick skin for the traits. And then struggles. I thought this one was going to like hurt us, but somehow I rolled pretty decent. Deep sleeper. Like,
Shout out to Moppy.
yeah, shout out to Moppy. And then rough skin, and then bad sense. And I picked like smell. So I felt like, especially when we were talking about food, I was like, you can't smell it. So if it's bad, he'll find out later. And then I went dodge melee, which was sick. When it actually got to do it, and yeah, I got to hit King Dial with it. I was just like, when is this gonna happen? Martial arts because of the Fishman Karate. Max out hockey. I almost didn't. I almost went sweet talk because I wanted kind of like his like to do emphasize that smile to see if I could change people's hearts. But then I was like, I think we're gonna be brawling this whole last episode.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna sacrifice. I don't know if I'm gonna talk Captain Reed out of anything. I know that's gonna be a hard role to make, so I'm just gonna go hockey. Then when I think I forget who the first person was that went down. Was it Celio or almost went down? No, the first wound. I was like, oh, we don't really have like a dedicated healer, so I went paramedic. But I didn't get to use it because I think what is it after a long rest you kind of lose a wound, so just in case.
Yeah.
Seemed like, and then like I got to use like the whole like the doctor with the pineapple head, so I got to throw another like little Easter egg, so that was just fun just to have it for that. And then pilot because somehow Nemo got to be helmsman, and I'm like, oh no. So, and then just for fun, I didn't actually do it, but after we finished the game, I threw Moppy under equipment. So,
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well I mean you used Moppy like in that first
the first part, yeah.
series of attacks. I appreciated that.
Well, my friends, our time on this chapter of the One Piece inspired SAGAS TTRPG stream has closed. Stay tuned, maybe for more at the end of the year. We'll try to peer pressure Dennis into it. I have a feeling that it's gonna be a yes, but we've got to get past the summer parts first. Thank you all so much for watching and for sailing the South Blue with us. It's been a lot of fun. But before we go, let us tell the people who we are and where they can find us. Let's start with Dan.
Hello again. I am Dan Pixel, Pyxel. They, them. You can find me basically everywhere under that name. On this site, on TikTok for as long as it exists, and other places. I'm job hunting, so my Twitter is locked. It's fine. All I'm doing is yelling about Avatar right now. So. Oh, right. Popcorn. To Adam, go.
Hello, I'm Adam, he, him. You can find me on the onlines at Adam So Wizard. Yeah, do the TTRPG stuffs, and yeah, you can find me there doing the stuff. I'll pass it over to Jake.
Yeah, I'm Jake. You can find me at Jake_Lionheart on most places. If you need music for anything, you can find me Jake Lionheart on Spotify, iTunes, sometimes IHOP. When they have like crepes, I don't know. I still can't believe I said IHOP. I'm stuck on it. It's gonna haunt me. But yeah, it's if you like it and you want to use it for your games, for your whatever, it's there. Just shout me out. It's royalty free too. I keep on sometimes forgetting people are like, we need royalty free stuff. Yeah, it's all royalty-free samples and stuff like that. So that nobody should bother me. If they do, send them my way, and I will probably just send a nice email. So nothing crazy, but
So Nemo coded.
yeah,
It
can you
really
tell?
is.
Can you tell? Yeah. Anyways, that's me. And I'll popcorn over to Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis. You can find me all over the internet at okayest__DM. I made this here game. You can find it and all the things related to it at my link tree, which I just dropped in the chatted. We've got a weekly, well, used to be weekly, is kind of slowing down because other stuff, newsletter where I put out updates on where the game development is and send out a free wallpaper to go with it, as I try to increase my Frankenstein graphic design skills, where I take stock art and smash them together into something. And we are almost done with the final edit of this game. I'm very excited to send it out to the tiered backers pretty soon here. The final iteration is going to be pay what you want, and it will be available this fall. At that point, we're going to just start making supplements for this thing, because this one pager was amazing. So yeah, we're gonna keep doing that, and we're gonna keep doing that. I won't be on the internet on other streams very often these coming 2-3 months, because real life things. But when I have time, I have already been streaming on my own channel, OKSDM, where I make mistakes running games so you don't have to. And one of the things the thing I've been doing mostly is I will watch back the games that I have run and walk through my thought process, new things I tried while running them, or like during the setup, and I'll review, did it work? Did it not? How do I feel about it? Am I going to try it again, or am I going to drop it? Do I recommend what I would recommend this to? Or what kind of table if you want to try it on your own? So that's what I'll be doing. Weekends, probably. You're going to get no warning, so don't try to find one. There's not a schedule here. But you can go watch a couple of them back. I've already finished one of my episodes that took 3 parts because I keep pausing to talk about stuff. And I really, really want to do it for this One Piece game that we've played, because there were a lot of really cool things that I've never done before or had to deal with. And I want to watch it back and, critique myself, like, what could I have done better? How could I have reacted here? This one thing worked really well, and make a note to try it again, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's where I'll be.
Hi, I'm Jess, and I want to know what "had to deal with" means. What the fuck? Wow. You can find me on places on the internet at Jess the Human. That's Jess with one S. But most importantly, I want to promote the TTRPGs for Palestine bundle. It is supporting Palestine Children's Relief Fund. It's in my pinned tweet. It's in both the YouTube chat and the Twitch chat. It costs $15 of a donation or more if you wanna, to PCRF, and you get access to 195 different TTRPGs. Sagas is included in that. The bundle ends tomorrow at midnight, but really you have until like Wednesday when I wake up and decide to close the bundle. We're trying to raise $28,000. As of right now, we're at like $26,500. So if you have money to spare and want to make a difference for an amazing cause, it would be so sexy of you to go and donate. But with that being said, you're not going to see me streaming any TTRPGs until mid-May. But we have some really good mutual aid fundraisers coming up with some really fun casts and fun games for a good friend of ours. So check those out. And in the meantime, I'll be doing Burial Cart Fridays. So hope to see you there. In the meantime, make friends, wash hands, don't eat paste. See you later, friends.